The bell rang and Alison stood up gingerly to leave the classroom. She clenched her butt cheeks together and walked as quickly as she could toward the bathroom. She passed by the rows of lockers and didn't even stop by her books. Her stomach rumbled and she winced in pain as the cramp hit her. She squeezed her cheeks with all her might, but she knew she would make it to the girls' bathroom. She had to. She was 18 and a senior in high school. There was no way she could live down an accident. The cramp subsided and she continued her journey to the porcelain relief. It was just down the hall. She hurried as fast as she could, but she couldn't run or even walk normally or she would poop in her panties. Still, she persisted until she made it to the bathroom. The girls' room was a mess at 1:30 in the afternoon. There were paper towels on the floor, lipstick on the mirrors, and she was sure she would find pee on the seats, but it didn't matter. She was desperate. She groaned in disgust. All of the stalls were full. She stood in front of the row of stalls waiting. "Please hurry. I'm desperate." Her voice sounded soft and alien to her. "Hold on a bit," a girl called from one of the stalls. A girl flushed and exited a stall and Alison stepped toward it. Before she took a second step, she felt another cramp in her abdomen and she bent over slightly. That was all it took to make it the worst day of her life. The load she had been holding in Mrs. Miller's class squeezed out in her panties. It was sudden, her accident. It wasn't slow, it just came out and there was a lot of it. Her load was wet too, but solid enough that it met the resistance of her jeans and spread in the seat of her panties. She looked around and saw at least 10 girls who were staring at her. One of them had her mouth open in surprise, but soon they would all know and then the whole school would make fun of her. She felt a blob of poop escape the leg bands of her panties and ride its slimy journey down the inside of her blue jeans to the floor. "She pooped her pants," a girl said. "Hey everyone," one of the girls yelled into the hallway. Alison pooped her pants. Alison wanted to say something. They had to be wrong. This couldn't be happening. But it was. She heard a pattering noise and looked down. To add insult to injury, she was peeing her pants as well. She could only stare as the wet patch on the front of her jeans grew. "I wish I could die," she said. Deborah Addison cowered in fear in the passenger seat of her big rig. 18 wheels of power moved uncontrollably down the street. She was supposed to be the driver. She had the commercial driver's license to prove it. She also had the hazardous materials and explosives endorsements that allowed her to haul the 9,000 gallons of gasoline in the tank trailer behind her rig. It was supposed to be an easy job. She didn't even have to leave the city. She just drove around from gas station to gas station refilling their stock. At 5 o'clock she would return to the oil depot and drive home in her own car. Today was different. As soon as she left the oil depot, she headed toward her first stop. It wasn't in the best of neighborhoods, but she had always felt safe. She had grown up here. In fact, the truck driving school where she got her license was in the same neighborhood. She was the only pretty 32-year-old in the whole class. When she arrived at the first street light, she had to stop. The armed gunman opened the driver's side door and pushed her aside as he mounted the cab of her 18-wheeler. "Sit quietly or you're dead," he said. He took the wheel and began to drive east away from the city. It wasn't worth dying over someone stealing gas. Deborah sat still in the passenger seat. Still, the calculations came to her head. That was her talent. Gas was $2.53 a gallon for regular. With her combined load of super and medium grades as well, the fuel was worth $23,470. She made a little more than that in a year, but not much. It was still not worth her life. She pulled her knees up to her chin and stared at the gunman.